thanks for coming on. This is great. It's great to get to talk to you. Have you recently started reading, or have you recently started reading Harry Potter? And like, is it books in general, or just those books that you've started?
No, it's just those books. I've just started reading fiction.
Okay.
I'm big into reading, but I don't really read just for the entertainment. I normally read to like acquire information to like help me do whatever I'm reading for. So whether it's like I want to learn about money, I'm a big learner. So if it's like I'll read a book on money. If it's about whatever I want to learn, I'll just grab a book and go read it.
Yeah.
And so after the games, I went on vacation, and my wife was just like, "Hey, I really think you would enjoy a book on the beach." And I was like, "No way. Like, I'm not just going to read fiction just for there's no value in reading fiction. Like, I'm not learning anything. I'm not like bettering myself by reading these books. So there's no way." And then I bought 2 books just to make her happy. And then I started reading it, and dude, when I tell you I was on vacation and I couldn't put these books down, I mean, I'm being serious. Like she'd be like, "Let's go out to dinner." And I'm like, "Dude, one more chapter. And
what were they? Were they Harry Potter ones or something else?
No, I didn't. So they were something else. They were like, so I'm big into like thrillers and mysteries, and just like I need to keep turning the page, like hooks after every chapter. And so I finished like 3 books, and then I am a big Harry Potter fan, but I've never read the books. So I've seen all the movies, and I enjoyed those. And so I've heard a lot about the books, but again, like I'm not a reader into fiction, so I'm not just going to read Harry Potter books just for the sake of just reading Harry Potter. But now I'm big into reading fiction, so I was like, we ought to give this a shot. So
yeah, because like you bought one of them. Like, what day is today? Thursday. You bought one of them on like Monday, and I saw you earlier on like closing the book and opening a second one. So like, you're obviously adept at reading. Like, you're a quick reader. Are you like, if you were a fan of them through the movies and stuff, are you reading the book being like, "Oh, my whole world is shattered because I thought that person looked like this or talked like this or acted like this or whatever"?
So it's hard not to take the characters from the movie and like put them on the pages. Yeah. And so I've just been reading, whenever Harry Potter is mentioned to, whoever he's talking to, I have to like, I don't even try to like think in a different perspective. I'm just like movie characters.
Daniel Radcliffe is.
Yeah. So that's been fun. I do wish. So I haven't seen the movies in forever. Like, I know big theme Harry Potter. Like, I was probably, I don't know, 15, 14 years old when I've seen all these movies. So I don't like remember the details of anything of like why things happened the way they did. And so going back in the book, there is a newness to it of like, I've never even heard about this part. I never even remember this part. So that part is cool. But I do know like big picture themes of the movie. Like, I know Voldemort killed his parents. I know he's coming out.
Whoa! Spoilers! I
know, like, he catches the snitch in the first movie. He swallows it. Like, I know those things, but I just don't know like the details. Which, I mean, there's plenty of them. So the book's been pretty interesting. But I would pay money to like wipe my mind clean of all the movies and just like have no idea what's coming, because that would be a crazy experience.
Yeah, I'd say. I'm a teacher.
Oh, really?
I don't like, that's a lie. I didn't like reading. So I'd be always in class, and I'd be like, it's so important that you read and expand your imagination. They'd be like, "Do you read?" I'm like, yeah. Look, this isn't about me. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, then this year I was like, right, I need to make a change here. I need to actually like learn to read. And someone told me that it's like a skill that you have to train yourself to do it. Like, that you'll be shit at it, but you just train yourself the same way you train how to run or whatever.
Right.
Another thing I'm good at avoiding. And I was like, all right, okay. So I bought Matt's book, and I read that because I knew it would be something that I'm interested in, and that I'd be like, even if I was struggling reading it, like the process of reading it, I knew that the story or the information would keep me going regardless because I'd want to know more. And then I read like Ben Bergeron's book, and then I said I'd read a book a month. So I stuck, it was very CrossFit at the start. And then I got through, I was like halfway through April, and someone was like, "Oh, how's your book a month thing coming?" And I was like, "Oh, fuck." I was like, I forgot. So I missed like all of March. I was halfway through April. I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? So I put up a thing on Instagram and I was like, "Oh, if anyone knows of like 2 really short books, because I'm falling behind." So I read 2 like totally random ones then that had nothing to do with CrossFit. And I was like, right, I'll keep doing that. So I read Shoe Dog, and I read fuck, I can't remember what else I read. But then I got sent some books, and like the first fiction book I read, and I didn't realize, so these are all like true, you know, like either they had a really specific like mindset type point to make, or else they were like Matt's book of like, here's the story of whatever. And someone sent me The Alchemist, which I still don't know like what was I think my problem was I didn't realize that it was a fiction book until I was like 3/4 of the way through. I was like, man, this build-up is fucking long. Like, what point is he driving at? And then I was like, wait a minute, this is a fiction book. This isn't true. Like, there's nothing in this. But then, like, you know, people were like, "Oh, you need to make sense of it yourself," and then I did, and I was kind of, yeah, okay. So someone else was like, said I should read the Thursday Murder Club. And I was like, right, is it long? Like, that's always my first question when someone says, "Oh, you should read a book." I'm like, how many pages is it? How big is the text? Like size 8 or size 72? So yeah, I started
text
that.
Size. Text size matters.
It fucking does.
Dude, like, if you're gonna be 2 minutes on a page, then it might as well be like a no.
Yeah,
I'm not reading.
Nothing overawes me more than when I like. Okay, so I fucked up recently. I was on holidays with my family, and we, like, in hindsight, it was so stupid. So there's loads of people at the pool and on the plane, and you know that thing where you're if you're thinking about buying a car and then all you see everywhere is that car, or like you're thinking about, I don't know, like your favorite color is in your head, and then all you see is that color everywhere. It's like that, like, you know, your brain is tricking yourself into thinking that like, oh, it's a sign, I better do it. So I saw a guy with this book, and it was like, I was in France, so I thought it was a French book, and I thought it was SPOR, but it was SPQR was what it was. I found out afterwards. And I saw him with that. I was like, geez, that's a nice looking cover. And then I saw, like, and I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but anyway, I saw, like, honestly, 50 other people reading this same book, like all around the pool, on the airplane, in rest, everywhere. And I was like, this book must be fucking groundbreaking if everyone's reading it. So I bought it. It's like, it's fucking huge. Like, it's massive. And it's like, I didn't even look at what it was. I was just like, I'll buy it because everyone's reading it, so it must be amazing. It's like fucking ancient Roman history or something. So in hindsight, what was happening was these people are obviously going to the airport because they're going on holidays, and it's like obviously in the bestsellers thing, so they're just all buying it, pushing it further up the bestsellers thing. And then I was like, oh, it must be good.
That's fun.
But yeah, I'm getting an operation now in like a week or so after this comes out, so I'll be laid up for like 10 days. So my plan is to just blitz it, and at least in those 10 days, at least get like 3 pages read. That's my plan.
You're actually going to try to read that?
I'll read about 3 pages, and then I'll see.
Keep me updated with what you learned.
Yeah, the Romans are a good army. I'll send you the clip notes. You do podcasts. You do a good few podcasts, especially with Savan. You've been on his show. There was a period of time where you were like a regular, where you were on, like, you know, a good bit, and then you've kind of dipped in and out. I guess less, but still frequently since then. I was curious, like, we'll get on to, like, say your successes in the sport and Mac and everything, like last year and stuff. But like, when someone like him is having you on, and when you're in that kind of realm regularly, and it's live and there's people watching, and like, it's very easy to put your foot in your mouth, I guess.
Yeah.
Are you like nervous when you're doing that? Did you kind of slip into it nice and easy at the start, or were you like sweating the first few times you're on, or how was it?
No, not really. I don't really pay attention to like me stumbling over my words or kind of stuff like that. I know I do a lot, but it is what it is. So like if I'm on that podcast, whether the first time or the 10th time, and I say something, I try to avoid saying something really stupid. You know, I did recently say my body fat was like 3%, which, you know, that was putting my foot in my mouth. So I do try to avoid something like that, but for the most part, no, like I don't think too much of it.
Because I remember seeing, I watch some of them live when I can, but like with kids, it's kind of rare, especially with like, you know, the choices of language that are being made. It's kind of difficult to just leave it on in the background. But I remember watching one day and you were like, someone asked you something, I don't know, was it Brian or someone asked you something and you were just like silent but staring at the screen, and I was like, oh, he's frozen or something, and then someone was like, he's reading the comments, and you were like, this guy, and like it was like you had to scroll back to see the comments that you're talking about. That must be difficult though, not to just like start looking in the bottom corner and seeing the stuff coming.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's live, so they got comments coming in like during the show, and it's easy to I mean, if there's multiple people on that show and they're like not even talking to you,
yeah,
and they're having their own conversation, like I might as well just be on these comments looking at what people are saying.
Do you listen to podcasts as well?
No, not really. I'm a big audio book guy. I listen to people. I listen to a lot of podcasts, like if I'm trying to learn from them.
Okay, yeah.
But not just for like, I wouldn't listen to people on the Savon podcast, or I wouldn't listen to myself on this, or
yeah.
I wouldn't listen to your podcast if that's what you're asking.
No, that's no. I mean, thanks for answering that you don't anyway without being asked. But no, I'd never ask someone that, because you're just setting yourself up for.
I try to, if I'm listening to something or reading something, it's mostly to like gain something from it.
So the same as originally your books, like
yeah, like I don't like wasting time.
Would you listen to Harry Potter audiobooks now, or are you like, no, I'll read it myself?
No, because I feel like if I'm listening to something, it's on the way to I'm in the car somewhere.
Yeah.
Like listening to something, or, you know, I'm doing like a workout, like a zone 2, or I'm listening to something on there. And at that point, like I don't feel like I'm in that stage where I'm working, whether I'm driving to the gym or like I'm on a bike or a row or something like that. I'm in that working mode. Like I don't want to listen to Harry Potter in that kind of mode. So it's, yeah,
you don't want to crash into the back of someone's car and then be like, I'm sorry, he caught the snitch in his mouth. I just lost it.
Exactly my point. So yeah,
with CrossFit then, so like, can you remember when you started? Because you played football originally, didn't you?
Yeah, do I remember when I started CrossFit? I started it was 2017.
Okay. And were you still playing football?
Yeah, I was playing football. I played through high school, got recruited by a few schools, wanted to play football at Clemson, and I had to take a year off football. And so during that year off, I did CrossFit to like stay in shape for football.
Okay. And how had you heard of it?
I was just looking up gyms in the area in Clemson, and it was either like go to a Globo gym or go to do CrossFit. And I had a vague idea of what CrossFit was, like no idea of what I know about it now. But I had to like understand that they lifted and they did like cardio, and that's all I knew. And so I was just like, great, like you need cardio to play football, and you need to be able to lift to play football. So I just thought I'd give it a shot.
What was your position in football?
Wide receiver.
Okay. So I know like fuck all about football. Is that like do you need a big ego to play there?
Ego?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You got to have a big ego. So the wide receiver is the person that catches the ball, and basically you got to literally think you're unstoppable.
Okay. So then, when you went into a CrossFit gym with an ego like that, thinking you were unstoppable, were you like humbled very quickly, or did you go in being like, this isn't going to be like football?
So I I was very confident with my conditioning, like my engine. Even in high school, like I prided myself of like on the fact that I would work harder than anybody around me. And so like I was the last person ever leaving the field on practice. I was always running stadiums when nobody else was. I was always doing track sessions. Even at like a young age, I was like running on Christmas Day, like early in the morning. Like I was doing all this nonsense stuff that I thought was like gonna make me the greatest ever at football, just because I'm a 16-year-old boy at this point, and it all worked out and it paid off. But I constantly was trying to find ways to like outdo my teammates, outdo my competitors on different teams. Because I'm not the fastest guy, and so I mean you have to be fast to be a wide receiver, and so I had to find the areas that people weren't as good at. And for me, that was just coming with like conditioning, and I was willing to work harder. Like I was willing to be on every play throughout every single game. Like I wasn't going to need a break on the sideline. Like that was my goal. And I was just going to outwork you like every single play until you just died. And then, so that kind of carried over into CrossFit. So when I walked into a CrossFit gym, we did like, when I saw conditioning on the board, I mean, obviously my ego was like, oh, dude, like these people don't have a shot. And then it just depended on what that conditioning was with. Like, dude, like I could be on a rower, you want to run, you want to bike. But as soon as you put like handstand push-ups in there, or like wall balls or burpees or any of that kind of stuff, I mean, it tortured me, dude. Like, I had never done a burpee. I never done handstand push-ups. I never done any of this kind of stuff. And so even if it was grunt work, I mean, we could just be doing regular grunt work stuff. And my body wasn't necessarily accustomed to CrossFit. And so it took some time to adapt. But for sure, I'd be crazy if I didn't say I'd walked into that gym at 17 years old thinking I was about to rule the world.
Can you remember then, was there a time where you were like, oh fuck, I could actually be good at this? Or did someone tell you that you could be good at it, or did you feel it yourself?
A lot of people told me, honestly. Like when I started, I knew I struggled with a lot of things. Like a lot of things didn't come naturally for me in the gym. Like, dude, it took me like a year and a half to do a bar muscle up. It took me like 2 years to do a ring muscle up. Like I just couldn't, like it wouldn't connect in my head. And I knew like, well, if I can't ever figure these out. And I was watching the movies at this point, like documentaries, and they were inspiring. But I mean, the only thing I was ever good at in the CrossFit gym for like 2 years was just grunt work, like just no skill, just go. And so I knew like I had a huge hole, and I didn't ever want to do weaknesses. Like, dude, my first year of CrossFit, like I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to be humbled. Like I don't want to work on my weaknesses. I just want to crush everybody. And so a lot of people would tell me like at a very young age, 16 years old, my first coach in Clemson was just like, dude, you can be as good as you want to be in the sport. And I'm like, dude, I'm barely snatching the bar over my head. But people have an eye for effort, and people have an eye for your ability, whether it's, seeing somebody's athletic ability or seeing someone's drive or desire or willingness to learn or be coachable, like whatever that is. And so I think a lot of people were able to see that through me. Like I asked a lot of questions, even though, I mean, at a young age, some of that stuff didn't make sense on how to do a lot of that skill stuff, but I asked a lot of questions, and I had the drive to suffer and work hard. And I mean, I had a athletic background. So, I mean, I knew how to deadlift. I knew how to squat. I knew how to do these things from football. And so I came in strong already. I just had to learn the skill stuff, and I'm still learning the skill stuff. But a lot of people said the sky's the limit for me. And they would tell me this, and I'd be like, bro, you're an idiot, dude. Like a complete idiot. But time went on, and I mean, those things got more specific as time went on. Like, hey, it went from the sky's the limit for you to, dude, you can make a semifinal this year, or you can go to sanctionals this year, or you can go to the games this year. Or you could be a games athlete. You could do this or that. And so people would constantly be filling like my head with this. And at that point, like, I was just like, all right, well, I mean, I might as well try to believe it as well, and let's try to go after it. And so there was a short stint where I just kind of like blew off all those voices and was like, nah, it's not possible. And then I think it clicked one day where it was, you know, whether I watched a movie or heard somebody or something happened where it was like, all right, like, let's see what can happen if I actually put all my cards on the table.
I remember like seeing you at Mac that first year or whatever, 21, and being like, who the fuck is this guy and where has he come from? And then I remember like that was most people's understanding. Apart from your crew with the white t-shirts, obviously they knew where you come from. But then I remember hearing someone saying that like, oh, he had actually qualified. He was one of the athletes that was meant to be at Atlas Games, and then it was like pulled last minute or whatever. Would that have been your first like that level of competition, or had you done other ones before that?
Yeah, that would have been my first one. So
okay. I mean, you in Canada at the time, like they're ready to go.
Oh yeah, we were in the briefing.
Oh fucking hell, it's rough.
Yeah, I'm glad it happened that way though. I mean, that would have been my first year. I mean, going into the MAC, you would have had a lot of people like, oh, Jayson Hopper did the Atlas Games last year. He came in whatever place. Like, this is what we know about him. Like, does he have a shot? Well, I don't really know because I never did that competition to see where I was at with the field. But if I came in 30th, they'd have been like, oh, Jayson Hopper qualified for a sanctional last year. He came in 30th. This is where, you know, we should keep an eye out. We should keep an eye out on him in this event because I had this event on sanctional, like stuff like that. No one had an idea where I was at fitness-wise, but I was good enough, obviously, to be at a sanctional. Then you take that away, that experience from me, and then let me have a whole another year to work and get better than I would have been at that sanctional. And then I'm coming in like thinking I'm ready for the CrossFit Games. And no one has an idea. No one has a clue. And so it's like set up on a platter to be a home run. Like if this, you know, works out like I wanted it to.
And was part of that, like say that, you know, if you're going into an event that you know you're going to do well in and that you're confident going into, and nobody else on the floor, or the announcers or anybody knows who you are, how capable you are, or what you could potentially do in a certain event, it was part of the benefit of that. Say someone like Justin wasn't looking over his shoulder in your direction. He was looking over his shoulder. He was too busy looking at other people that, you know, that nobody was really concerned about you. Is that part of the benefit of it?
Yeah. I mean, it was cool. Like being the no-name guy and, you know, just going out there and like I wouldn't even say prove people wrong because there was no one to think that I couldn't have done it, you know. It was cool, like, to go out there and just be me. Like, one, I had nothing to lose. Like, if I would have didn't qualify for the CrossFit Games, didn't do what I did, then I just go back to my ways and keep working hard. And so it was cool knowing there wasn't anything to prove. Like, no one was going to be upset, or I wasn't going to let anybody down if I failed. But it was really cool that I, you know, worked my butt off for an entire year, like set out to do this. And I mean, there was always that insecurity of like, do I belong with these guys? Like, I never had that experience of, you know, battling against these top name competitors that I watched on documentaries, you know, the last few years. And so seeing these guys, I was like, it's easy to go into that mindset of I don't belong. I can't compete with these guys. Like, surely I could beat the people back home at my own gym, but surely I can't beat Travis Mayer, Scott Panchik, or Justin.
Yeah.
And so like winning that second event on Friday night, I mean, I'm just riding the wave of emotion. Like, I just beat the whole field. I came in first in that event. And I'm just thinking like, dude, like I surprised myself. I'm surprising the whole world. And then every event was like that. It was like Saturday morning, you know, I'm surprising myself. Saturday night, I win another event. And it was like, dude, like I'm like riding the wave of emotion with everybody else. They're like, who the heck is this guy? I'm asking myself the same question, you know? And so it was cool.
That's cool. That's really cool. after that, like, so if you went into that competition as the no-name guy, as you say yourself, I mean, a seismic shift has to have been felt after that event, where you say just in the month or so after that, I saw you pictured with Fraser at West Coast Classic. I saw you with Nike. I saw you with GoWad. I saw, like, there was all these people kind of going, like, taking you under their wing and bringing you along and wanting to help you, wanting to support you and that kind of stuff. Like, the shift there from there's no pressure, nobody knows who I am, nobody cares who I am, nobody has any expectations for me. The shift from that to, isn't that the guy that was hanging out with Fraser? Isn't that the guy that's with Nike? Isn't that the guy? Like, it was like dealing with that. Was that a struggle? Was it okay? Was it like tough, or did you notice the change yourself?
I think I handled it really well, actually. Looking back, I didn't really let that pressure get to me, honestly. Like, people are, it's easy to assume that, like, oh, he just won the MAC and now he's signing all these deals. He's working with Matt now. He's got a, all this stuff came at me at once. Yeah. And then I go to the CrossFit Games that come in 19th. It's easy to blame that on pressure. It's easy to say, oh, like, the pressure got to him. He wasn't ready for the big stage. But none of that's true. Like, the mat was put on a tee for me. Like, if you go look at all the events, we did a max snatch. I hit 300 pounds. We did the second workout was 45 cows on the ski erg, one round, 30, the second time, 15. It was like, dude, I don't even know how many cows that is, but it's a lot. I'm one of the best skiers in the game. Like, I'm going to crush that event. The second workout was, or third workout was, it's very, like, high power output, clean and jerks, burpees. Like, I came in 8th. And then the fourth workout we did heavy wall balls and running. It was all a heavy wall ball workout. 220 pounds. Like, I'm gonna move a wall ball 30 pounds easier than a lot of people. So I'll crush that one. And then the fourth and fifth workout, we did a biker. Like, I'm gonna crush the biker. We threw 100-pound dumbbells in the last event and did 4 handstand push-ups every round. Like, that's not gonna expose me,
Yeah.
And so every workout was like a home run. And so winning that was like, it was cool, and then going to the CrossFit Games and then, like, coming in 19th and, like, getting crushed on some workouts. I mean, those were workouts that I didn't come in 30th because of the pressure. I came in 30th because I just sucked at that workout, And so, like, 19th it was where I belonged, It wasn't because I got big headed, or it wasn't because I put this pressure on myself. Like, no, like, I was the 19th fittest man in the world. And there were some events that I did really well at the games, and there were some events that obviously absolutely exposed me. And I wasn't oblivious to those weaknesses. I've been telling you that it took me 3 years to get a ring muscle up. So when I knew ring muscle ups was going to be kryptonite in the games. And so I didn't put that much pressure on me at the end of the day. Like, I don't really, again, coming from that sports background, like, people had always been saying things, whether good or bad, positive or negative, for my entire life. And so coming to the games at, 24 years old, like, dude, I've been doing this I've been in sports for 20 years. Like, I've heard all the names in the books. Like, I've heard all the positive and negative things, the criticism. Like, I'm accustomed to that, and so it wasn't that big of a deal. But
what about, like, did it change anything, say, after the games? And, like, say, hearing, I know that you say that you hear, like, you've heard it all before, and you've heard people say good stuff and bad stuff and that, but, like, that was kind of the narrative that was going around, was like, oh, like, he peaked, I guess, from people who maybe don't see what you see in the programming of, like, the MAC was very, that year anyway, was very, like, I guess you call it monotone in programming, compared to, say, something like the games where fucking everything can come up.
Yeah.
But, like, you would have people looking at that going, like, oh, look, he's shit the bed because he's with Nike now and he's blown his load and doesn't know what to do, or, oh, he thinks he made it and now he's falling short or whatever. And there was some hard moments to watch, like, like, thinking of the hustle fell bag workout from whatever, like last year. And, you know, there's moments where it's kind of like, oh, please just finish the workout. Like, you know, like when you're living through those moments, and then I guess after the games, when that's the narrative and that's the story that's being told, like it can't be easy to ignore it no matter how much stuff you've heard before.
Well, there are some things that I could do in my life that I can quiet that noise. Like when I got done with the games, I wouldn't say there was a lot of talk around me, but I mean, if there was talk around me, it was probably negative. Like the biggest thing I heard was he's a fluke.
Yeah.
And so I decided to, like I said, obviously it's not impossible not to hear those things and, you know, think whatever about yourself. But I did my best to mute those things in my life, whether like, not just like theoretically in my head, like, no, like I'm going to delete YouTube. And so if there's anything said on YouTube, like I can't go to YouTube and listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I muted literally everybody on Instagram that has anything to do with CrossFit. Still, to this day, like I follow a lot of people, but they're probably muted. And so like my Explore page is not CrossFit. Like every time I see a CrossFit thing on my Explore page, like not interested, click that. Like I don't want to trying to tell Instagram like I'm a CrossFit athlete, but I'm not interested in CrossFit.
And is that self-taught, or did someone say like, here, you should probably do this?
No, like there's self-taught. Like I don't want to see that noise. Like for me, I'm best if just putting my head down and working. And so I didn't want to, because at the end of the day, you don't know what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And so like whenever you see things on Instagram, whether it's PRs or this or that, I mean, it's easy to look at that and think, well, I'm not hitting those numbers. They must be better than me. It's human nature to naturally think that. And so I'm always seeing people I'm always seeing people's highlights, you know, like whether it's, you know, PR this workout or hitting this lift or whatever it may be. It's natural to be like, well, I'm over here quitting in the middle of my workout. Their PR and theirs, like your natural inclination is just gonna be like, well, I suck, you know? And so it's best that I remove that as much as I can. So I'm gonna mute you, you know, I'm gonna mute the CrossFit games, Instagram. I'm gonna mute all these people that just like aren't healthy. Like I have nothing against you as a person, but it's just best for me going forward to not see that. Like for me, I work best at just putting my head down and going. And so I'm going to block out the noise and just hustle and grind. And, you know, like I don't want to hear the positive things that you say about me. I don't want to hear the negative things about me. I don't even want to think that I'm, you know, this good in the sport. Like I just want to go to the gym every single day, work my tail off and just keep doing it over and over and over. And then when my moment comes to like prove myself at a competition, then that time will come. But for now, it's not getting caught up in the noise. It's not like that's all irrelevant. Like what people have to say, like that's not going to help me on the competition floor. You know, like
I'm picturing a guy on Instagram, like working on Instagram, being like, I cannot fucking understand this guy. You know, like trying to work out your algorithm, just being like, this program must be broken because all he posts is CrossFit stuff. And then, but he keeps blocking everyone and I don't understand. He's like, okay, show him a snatch video. He just put up no, he blocked that. I don't get it. And there's like, eventually they're like, I've cracked it. He really likes Harry Potter. You know, like they just start showing you that.
Did you watch that documentary? I don't even know what it was called, about Instagram and Twitter and all
like
that.
Algorithms and all that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no,
you'd be an anomaly that they just can't.
It's easy to go down that rabbit hole and just, you know, especially on rest days. That's the worst day, whenever you're just sitting around and not doing anything, and you're just on Instagram and you're seeing what everybody else is doing, and you're seeing their highlights, and you just feel bad for yourself because, dude, everybody's struggling at the same time. Like every day is not, perfect. And so it's easy to see their best day and then put it like naturally to a day that you just had recently that sucked, and assume that they're not having those days either. And then it's just, you run down that rabbit hole mentally, and it's not a good place to be in. So,
but even it transcends sport, like where, like, I get that where if I, say there was a while there where I was like, oh, I'll message Hopper and see if he'll come on, and then like nothing, and I'll be like, okay, I'll put it in his question box maybe. Sometimes I do that, or I might like message and then react to a story, because sometimes that gets you seen a bit quicker than just a message. Of like I could go back on my phone. I think I messaged you the second morning of Mac, like whatever, last year, and like quite consistently since then. And then I'd see you on Savan's show, and I'd be like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? Like you just naturally compare. Yeah. And like I don't mean that to make you feel bad, but like I've done that with other people where it's like I can't get someone on my show, and then I'll see them on someone else's show like 5 times, and it's like, oh, what the fuck? But then at the same time, I'm forgetting about the fact that I've had Fraser on 3 times, or like that kind of stuff where you push the positives out to just focus on like, oh, obviously everything's falling apart because like whatever.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like between Mac and the games, was your relationship with Fraser there, like, say, kind of similar to his relationship with Justin, where it was kind of like advice and general, like, maybe you should think about doing this, or was it like, oh, I'm your coach, or I'm doing your programming?
Leading up to the games?
Yeah. Like say,
oh no, he was just there to give advice, honestly.
Yeah. And when did it become like, did you say to him, I want you to be my coach, or did he say, hey, I'm thinking of taking on some athletes?
Oh no, he didn't want to coach at first after the games, and I begged him. And I was like, literally, like, you don't have an option, Matt. Like, you are going to coach me.
I've unblocked you on Instagram, so I can message you.
No, the only people I haven't blocked is my team, HWVO.
Yeah.
Can't block Mal and Matt, man. But no, I remember after the games, like, just came in 19th, feeling bad for myself, like pissed off the world. I'm like, no, like, you don't have an option, like, because like, and a lot of people would just accept that, like, oh, he said no, and just move on. But I'm like, dude, like, my potential in the sport, like, it is, for me, I think it's high, but like, I need him. I need like his experience. I need his knowledge to like push that, at a better efficiency. And so no, I was like, dude, like you are coaching me. Like, I don't care if it's like, I don't have to come to Vermont, like, just program for me. Like, I just need a little bit of help. And so I finally got him to coach me a little bit. I went up there a couple of times, and we get along really well. So it was a good thing.
And you work heavily enough with Jake as well, don't you?
Yeah, Jake came on. Around the same time. I think I joined like, I think a month before Rogue last year.
Okay.
So a month after the games.
And then, because it's interesting, because there's, like, say, HWPO are like very unique, I think, and they're remarkable what they're doing. They have this kind of like what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Like, compound vibe of like that. It's like, once you're in, like, you're in. Not that like you can't leave, but like as in like you wouldn't want to leave. Like that, it's, you've got like Matt, like, say, Keith, like the dad who's like looking after everyone, making sure everyone has everything they need, like, fielding stuff, being like, no, not today, like, and like just doing like a good job of that kind of shit. Then you got like Sammy, who's like the mom, like, who's like, cooking for everyone, like the host, like making everyone feel comfortable and everything. Then you got like Matt, who's like the weird kind of eccentric uncle who's really hyper into one specific thing and like really good at it. But like you've got, you know, like Jake and then you and Mal, and it's like there's an intense, even with Eric and stuff, they're doing the media and like Vicky coming over and stuff, there's an intense like FOMO that comes off the group of like where like when you're not involved, you're like, God, it'd be cool to just be there for a while and just sit down and be around the fire with the rest of them or whatever. But like obviously Matt and Jake and you know now there's other coaches coming on and stuff as well. That's going to have an impact on your athletic prowess, I guess, and your performances in the sport. We'll say just from a programming perspective and a coaching perspective. But has it had an impact outside, like say, like outside of your actual movement, as in your mental performance in the sport, your time away from the competition floor? Because obviously it's different for you than for Mal because she's there and she's there like all the time, whereas you're kind of in and out and you're training a lot on your own, I guess. But has that group dynamic changed the way that you view yourself or view the sport or anything like that?
Honestly, I haven't really thought about this that much, man. I would say not really. I mean, they've helped me tremendously, and maybe it has. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I've learned a ton from all of them, and like being around them feels like family. And so there's a lot of things I take away from hanging out with them that I'm like, okay, like this is practical. Like I could put this like almost like it's easy to take away from what they're teaching us and what we're all becoming. And then there's some things like subconsciously that I don't even know that I just time with them I come back here and I'm just like naturally like I say something or I do something. And I'm like, oh wait, like I got this from them, you know? And so there's a lot of things that just, it's like a family, man. And of course people feel like FOMO because we have a ton of fun, you know, it's so much fun, you know, and I don't see myself going anywhere else.
Would you ever consider moving to Vermont, or do you think the way it is now is just right?
I don't know. I feel like this last season, I feel like I was insecure about like, am I gonna be able to get everything out of the games as much as possible, being away from my coaches. And then I came in 7th and I executed exactly. And I don't think being in Vermont would have changed the result of the CrossFit Games. Like maybe one spot, you know. And so I don't know. I love where I'm at. I love Greenville, South Carolina. I think it's one of the best places on earth, honestly. And I'm a homebody, man. So like I'll travel and be like, dude, like 2 days later, I'm like, all right, let's wrap this up. And so, man, I tell my wife all the time, I don't see us moving anywhere else. Like I'm here for life, honestly. But yeah, I don't know if that means never moving to Vermont for a season. I don't know if that ever means, you know, I don't know what it means, you know, but I do love this place and I do love the friendships I have around in Greenville, South Carolina. And that would be hard to leave. Like I value those things, the friendships and the relationships that I have here way above CrossFit, you know? And so I would honestly lose my mind if I moved somewhere and had no like friendships and relation. It was just like purely CrossFit, like just all 100% CrossFit. I would lose my mind. Like friends, like give me balance. And so I don't know. I like to wonder and think about what would happen if I moved to Vermont for a season. Maybe it's just like for the semifinals to the games it happens. But I don't see myself being there like long term. I don't think I'd be there for 12 months. I think if I moved up there, it'd be rent a place out, stay for a few months leading up to the games. That happened.
Yeah. So this year then obviously was different from last year in that you didn't win your semi-final. And then at the games, like I was actually looking, so I was looking, I had like two windows open side by side of your event finishes last year and this year, we'll say, at the games. And like this year, there was 4 or 5 outliers that were like, say, above 20th place, like 27th or whatever. Like there was 4 or 5 of those events. Whereas last year, it was the reverse of that, where there was 4 or 5 outliers that were inside the top 10 or in around the top 10, and the rest of them were all, it would have been the outliers from this year, was it 20 something, 30 something, whatever. And I guess I was curious with the 2 years, compare them to each other. Obviously, success is more enjoyable. But like from the Wednesday, we'll say, till the Monday last year, and the Wednesday to the Monday this year, did you enjoy the experience more? Like, were you able to? Because I know you mentioned there that at semifinals you're like, oh fuck, do I belong here? And there was that kind of sense. And obviously, that's not going to be improved when you're at the games and it's not going to plan and you're failing ring muscle-ups or whatever. You're struggling. It's not going to improve that mindset. And then you go into semifinals and you finish second. And I know for athletes at your level, winning semifinals doesn't fucking matter. Like that's not the aim. Like it's not the aim for anyone. Whereas like last year, I'm sure winning semifinals and holding a sword above your head was pretty fucking cool. Whereas like for this year at the games, then were you like, are you at the stage now, say before, obviously now finishing 7th, I'm assuming, unless there's something wrong, I'm assuming you feel like you belong. But like before the games had kicked off, were you like, I deserve to be here, I belong here, like I'm going to do well? And then did that maintain throughout the week, or did it build throughout the week, or what was your mindset like this year compared to last year?
So last year was, oh man, a train wreck, man, dude. From the first event to the last, I remember just last year. The problem with last year is I took every event, the previous event, and I brought it into the next event.
Yeah,
big no-no. Like veterans don't do that, you know. Champions don't do that, and so every like I would have home run opportunities. Like, dude, the freaking. I look back on this one event at the games in 2021, and it was the Echo Bite and Snatch, 21-15-9. And I'm like, I 100% should have won that event. Like, there's no question about it. It's all Echo Bite, just barbell cycling, like hold on to it and just rip it and grip it and go. I came in 7th, and I just casually just walked to the finish line. Like, the effort was not there. I look back on that event, I'm like, why was I cautious, like to hurt? And the reason why I was cautious is because like the previous day I came out so hot on that rope climb workout and couldn't barely finish the workout. Like I almost got time capped. And I brought that moment into every single event after that.
Like, don't go too hot.
Super caught. Yeah, I came out way too hot. Don't want to make that mistake. It's better if I just, play it safe. And that was my mindset. Like, I'm just going to play it safe, and I'm not going to leave any question in the bag of how I pace it. I'm just going to play it safe and do that every single event after that. And so I kept bringing that event into every single one. And man, like I wasn't improving at all. Like, I mean, you see the leaderboards, 20th, and you can't expect to just keep climbing up the leaderboard or coming like top 10 with this play it safe mentality. Like you got to take risk, and you got to like put effort in and go get it. And so that year I let the first couple of days affect me, and it ruined me. And then fast forward a whole year from now, and I feel like I'm in a similar situation day one of the CrossFit Games. Even worse, last year I was in 16th on day one. Now I'm in 32nd. But it was different in the sense that I had that experience last year, and I had a whole year to grow mentally and say, if this ever happens again, I'm going to like fight tooth and nail to make sure that I do not bring the experience into my next opportunity. And so after last year's games, I was just like, halfway through the weekend, I went into Sunday, like telling my wife, waking up Sunday, like, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't care about this anymore. Like, I just want to go home, and so I hated every part of that weekend, honestly. And it was a good experience. And then this year, sitting in 32nd place, and I was probably feeling the same things as I did last year, like feeling bad for myself. Like, this sucks. I'm sitting in 32nd. Like, this is not where I want to be. I just hadn't had an opportunity to like prove myself that weekend, or that part of the week. And so I was itching for the next day, like itching for that barbell and run workout, which was 200 points, you know? And I knew I could be right back in it. You know, like, I feel like last year I had these high expectations for myself. Like, I was going to win the CrossFit Games. And so having that day one was like, I'm not going to win the CrossFit Games. And it affected everything after that. Now it was, I just want to be top 10. You know, I want to make myself proud, and I want to leave. I don't want any questions. I don't want to have any regrets after this year. And I still had control of all those goals, even after day one, sitting in 32nd place. So I knew I was fine. And so I knew I'm going to capitalize on this next event, 200 points on the table. It's a home run event. Like, I'm really good at running. I'm really good with the barbell. I have an opportunity to really set myself up, even after a crap day one. And so after that event, man, it was I rode the roller coaster of momentum, man. I did that exactly the way I wanted to. I came in 8th, and then I took 4th on the barbell and run, and was in 16th place. And, you know, I just did not let the day one come into my strategy or approach into day two. And once I did that, I knew like I was capable to still accomplish these goals. And then Thursday night, I had momentum. Like, I felt like I might as well be in first place in the CrossFit Games right now. Like, I just went from 32nd to 16th in 12 minutes, you know? And so it felt good, man. It felt like I was like, dude, I'm 6 places out of my goal. I wanted top 10. Like, I'm not, yeah, of course I go into the CrossFit Games thinking like, okay, like, I want to win. Like, I'm going to compete to win, but I'm not oblivious, you know? Like, I have my weaknesses, and I knew they were going to get exposed at some point in the weekend. And I had to be near perfect if I want to plan on beating Justin. And so, like, I'm not oblivious of that. But top 10, I felt like was reasonable after the work I put in this past year. And yeah, I felt like, you know, I was 24 points out after day 2, and I was sitting in 16th place. I knew the Capital event was going to be another home run event for me. And so I was just like waiting. It all had to, I feel like the biggest hurdle mentally was just like fighting time. Like, I just, like, after day 1, I was like, dude, like, I want to do event 4 right now. Like,
yeah.
Like, I just want to get it over with. Like, I want to prove myself right now. Like, I want to be in 16th, like, right now. Instead, I had to go home and, you know, sleep and constantly think about day 1 and, you know, live in those thoughts. And I feel like that was the biggest hurdle mentally. But, man, it was a night and day difference, honestly, dude, from
That's good.
Last year, just mentally.
Recovering from it then, so you finish in 7th, which is like amazing. You achieve what you set out to achieve. You surpass what you set out to achieve, I guess. And then you went on holidays like pretty much straight after. You went to like Aruba or something, was it?
I went to Cancun.
So you just ate like a dickhead for a few days, basically, was it? And just like drank and ate whatever you wanted?
Actually, they got good food down there. It's all inclusive resort, and so I mean, we ate pretty good, honestly.
I'm recovering from the games. Then, are you like? Was it basically just take it easy? Like, I guess have a normal life for a while, and then slowly start like dialing things back in, and, you know, doing some, I don't know, stretching, mobility, that kind of stuff, eating right, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think after the games, I was so like, I was riding an emotional high, and so I came off that weekend and I went to Cancun. But dude, I brought a notebook. I like the journal, and then I was writing the goals down after like day 1, like. As soon as you know, Monday came around, I was like already thinking about what was next. I was already thinking about things that I was going to change, already thinking about things that I was going to work on. And I was like writing them down, just ready to change like the details and all these things that I think that would help me progress in the sport. And so, yeah, I did have a off time. My first day back was, 2 days ago. And that was crazy in itself. We did a partner workout and I had to quit in the middle of it. I was so out of shape, man. But yeah, I think, it was easy to let my body rest, but not my mind.
Okay.
Like I was constantly I was eager. Like I'm asking the questions already to Matt and, my coaches, and like already saying like, we're like, hey, let's set up a time to talk about next season. Like I'm so excited. And they're like, bro, chill out. Like
they're like block.
yeah. Honestly, I went back, and this time off, I watched every single event from 2016 all the way to 2020, and just watched Matt Frazier every single event. And I was like, dude, like this is the greatest guy, the greatest athlete in the sport. I'm gonna watch. First of all, I came into the sport pretty late, so like, I never even seen 2017 events unless it was on the documentary. Like I saw like, oh, they did this and that, but I'm like, I never watched them live. So like, I never saw the last year in Carson, like all these events. Like I wasn't that involved in CrossFit to like pay attention. I was playing football. The first games I was actually watching was, probably 2019, where I was actually like open my laptop or put it on my TV to watch this live stream. So I had like no idea like of the history of CrossFit. People make fun of me now. They're like, they'll mention a games workout. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's pretty embarrassing. But anyways, yeah, I spent, the last 3 weeks watching Matt Frazier go through every event just to watch him. I wanted to see how he his body language, when stuff didn't go away, how was he reacting? Like, how would he approach a barbell? Was he on his knees, like bent over? Like, was he standing up? Like his approach to things, like his strategy, like how many reps did he do on those ring muscle ups? Like all this stuff. Like I'm just filtering all these things in my head, and like my body's resting, but I just could not get my mind off of like the growth. Like I'm so hungry for this next year, and I'm so excited. And I could not wait for 3 weeks to just go into the gym, and like had to get this process started. And so got to start it, man. And so just finding those ways, journaling. I rolled out like a lot, like just getting the muscles ready. Like there were so many things that I was doing that, still letting the body rest, but mentally getting ready for the season.
What part does goal play then in and out of season? I suppose, like, is that something that you do consistently regardless? Like, were you in Cancun?
Oh yeah, I was
watching Fraser and
I was not in Cancun watching Fraser. I was in Cancun doing mobility. I 100% was. I'd find because like, dude, like even like mobility and stretching, they had like, yes, I do it for sport. Like I do it like to make sure like I'm feeling recovered during training, like I'm able to train. But like I also, like if I don't stretch, I feel like crap. Like I'll get out of bed every single day like stiff as a brick, and like I cannot move. Like I have to go stretch. And so GoWOD works for me in that way. Like, yes, it's a great training tool to like help my recovery and like get me warmed up for training and all that stuff. Like provides great cool downs and stuff. But also like I think mobility helps in every single sense of the idea for anybody, training or not. Like I wake up and I go stretch not because I'm training, but because I don't want to feel like I feel like when I get out of bed. And so Cancun I was definitely doing some GoWOD on Cancun.
Yeah. You were definitely watching Fraser as well. We all know it.
Dude, I was not. Dude, that's embarrassing. If I was watching Fraser in Cancun,
you're like in the hotel bar. Excuse me, can we connect my laptop to the HDMI up to the? I just want to be able to see it from far end of the bar.
I would call him after the event because like I said, like I have I'm writing down what I'm seeing.
Oh, please tell me you were calling him, being like, "Hey, you know, in 2018 when you did such," and he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
I don't know why. I don't know the first question I asked him. But I remember calling him and saying, I had a question about something he did. And I was like, well, I have the resources to ask, you know, so I'm just going to call him. And he was like, dude, like, why are you watching me?
You're like, why did you take your sunglasses off in between
Yeah.
minute 6 and 7?
Exactly.
So you said there that 2022 aim was to finish inside the top 10. You obviously did like more than did that. Have you got something in your head for next year?
Yeah, I want to be in contention. And I don't really don't know
like in around top 5. Then we're talking.
Yeah, like I don't know what that looks like right now. Like one of the things that I took away from last year coming in 7th was that I belonged. Like I'm here to stay. There was many events that I had that I beat the top level guys, whether it be BKG, like people who are like have been in the sport for a very long time, that are like the backbone of the sport. You know, that when you say CrossFit, you think of these people. There's many events like that where I beat those guys, and it was just no skill involved, just pure capacity and fitness. And just leaving on Sunday, coming in the top 10 on the last three workouts. I mean, for me, that was almost like a good way to end my season going into next year. Like, okay, like I'm riding this momentum all the way into the season. I mean, I didn't go to sleep losing a spot. Like it was 32nd, 16th, 10, 8, 7. Like I just kept climbing. And so I'm, in a sense, I'm still climbing this momentum, or using this momentum into my season now. And so I can't help but to think that I belong, you know, like I can't, like, I'm not trying to psych myself out. Like I have the tangible results to like prove like I belong. I have the experience of coming back from 37th or 32nd to 7th. Like I have that experience. If it ever happens again, like I know I can do that. I know I'm like mentally tough to experience that and go through whatever because I just had that experience. And so like, I know I could do it again if it came down to that. The Lord willing, I hope it doesn't. But I know I can get through it if it does. And so like, this will be my 3rd games coming up. I mean, Lord willing, if I make it again. And I just want to be in contention. Now, whether that's in the top 5, contention for the top 5, whether that's contention for the podium, like whether, I don't know what that means yet. But I do know that for me, I do want to be in the conversation I'm not oblivious, you know, like I'm not oblivious. I have a lot of things I need to work on. So like winning is like far stretch. I get it. Like, again, I'm not ignorant to that, you know.
Justin's quite good.
He is good. Yeah, he absolutely is. He's damn good.
He's okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I have the longevity in mind of CrossFit. Like if somebody asked me my goals, like I want to be top 10 this year, and next year, I mean, it might be, I want a podium, and the next year is like, well, if I podium, then well, damn, I'm going to try to win next year, you know?
Yeah.
And I've told Justin that many times, like, hey, I know we're boys, but I'm not even coming after you next year. But give me 2 years, bro, and you better watch out.
That's fair.
So it's not necessarily about next year or even the year after that. It's about where I end up, you know, where the peak, wherever that lies. If that's 5 years from now, if that's next year, 10 years from now, like whatever that is, I just want to keep progressing and just keep making myself proud. And if, like I said, like, and these are goals that they're not very, they're out of my control. Like all the past people I competed against this past year can all outwork me this next year and have better results, but I can still work hard and come in last, you know, and that's not in my control. And so it's really, when I can't be specific about my goals, like saying
like the exact same games could come up next year, all the same workouts, and you could place better in all of them. But other people could also, you could finish faster, but other people could also finish faster. You know,
exactly. And it would be easy to work my butt off for an entire year, and that situation happened, and me feel like crap because, you know, I only progressed by one spot, but my goal was the podium, you know? And so like I got better, I progressed, I did what I like, big picture I want to do, but I had this goal that was out of my control, and now I'm letting it affect my emotions because, you know, I didn't reach it. So it's a sticky situation whenever you try to, you know, write goals down. Like I want to keep progressing, and I want to finish my career in my peak. Now, whatever that looks like, I want to be proud of that, whether the best finish is first place, whether the best finish is second, whether the best finish is third, like whatever that is. What if my best finish is seventh and I just never reach seventh again? Like, I just want to keep progressing, and the results may not show that. Like, let's say I come in 10th place for the rest of my career, but I feel like I'm progressing in the sport and progressing in my fitness, then I'm going to be proud. It's like Ben Smith. Ben Smith said he's in the best shape of his life. He didn't qualify for the games, but he won in 2015. There's stuff like that. The goal's got to be bigger than the results.
That's good. Off season then, are you doing Rogue?
I'm doing Rogue, yes.
And you're doing team at Wodapalooza?
Yeah, I am.
Who are you doing that with?
Honestly, man, it is. So when I said that, it was like, it's not 100%. So it's like there was some things that had to happen to get them to do Rogue or do Wodapalooza with me, and one of those things has not happened yet. So it's not looking great right now. That even makes sense. I'm glad it doesn't make sense to you.
Oh, it literally makes zero sense. I'm like,
it's supposed to be confusing.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'll hurt your brain.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. I don't know. Like I don't know. The only thing, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that you're waiting for someone to move training house or something, and that hasn't happened. But I don't know. You can tell me, and I can just take it out if it doesn't happen. Okay, and then anything else? Is that it then? Start getting ready then for February and April, May, whatever.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. And Wodapalooza is more of it's fun. Like, I don't want it to be a stressor. You know, I don't want it to be anything that throws me off. I don't want to get hurt. You know, I think Rogue is a good opportunity to continue to find that one thing I can work on for a whole another year, and then for
some Bitcoin.
Yeah, some Bitcoin, and then dial it in, and yeah.
I'm gonna be at Wodapalooza, so I'll find you and say hello. That's a big deal. You need to have a bigger reaction to that. I'm flying to Miami from Ireland. Had a much larger reaction to that than you had.
I'm so sorry. I was texting my wife as you were saying that. So I heard that, but like dude, that's so sick. I'm glad.
If it had been anyone else, I would have been upset. But your wife is okay. I would have accepted you texting your wife or asking Fraser a question about the 2016 games. One of those two things. Did you say you're going for a haircut now?
Yeah, I am. 10 minutes.
Man, your hair is so fucking short. Like, what? What's the line? What's the line? Is your hair? Are your haircuts based on time elapsed, or are you like, oh, that's looking a bit fuzzy, I need to get that? Because it looks quite short.
My wife works at a barbershop. Or she works from home, but on the side she works for a barbershop, and so that means free haircuts.
Okay.
That means it's not really a haircut that I'm going to get, but more of a touch up, just because I can, you know.
Yeah. Like an Indian head massage or something.
Yeah, like just right here has been growing. Can you just trim that? I'll be out in 10 minutes.
You just cut these 3 hairs.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you for coming on. It's been fantastic getting to chat to you. very entertaining, like great guy to talk to. I'm always pleased when an interview goes well, and I'm like, God, that's actually a really nice conversation. And I was kind of, I don't know, I get apprehensive when I haven't talked to someone before, but you were very easy to talk to and very entertaining.
Appreciate it.
Congrats on everything so far. Best of luck with Rogue and Wadapalooza. I hope the two lads that you're holding out for works out for you. If not, like I say, I'll be there. You can throw my name down as an alternate if you want to just humiliate yourself. So yeah, best of luck with all that, and next year, and we'll catch up in Miami hopefully.
Yeah, dude, let's do it again. Appreciate it.